We are back. That's right. We are back to the Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus podcast show. I am Dr. B. Welcome back to our show. This is show number 68. 68. That's right, 68. And it's entitled, Do You Feel Comfortable Expressing Your Ethnicity or Not in the United States or Elsewhere? That's right. Do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the U.S. or elsewhere? That's the theme. That is the title of our show. And this is a topic that has been building for quite some time. Excuse me, in amongst the audience, my audience, and issues that I've been contemplating over the past couple of years, and now it's time to address this issue. So this is show number 68. Do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the U.S. or elsewhere? I want to thank all our platforms, our podcasting platforms. That's right. I want to thank Podbean. I want to thank iHeartRadio. I want to thank Google Play. I want to thank iTunes. I want to thank Apple Podcasts. I want to thank again, Amazon Prime, Audible, Spotify. I want to thank, I want to thank Samsung Podcasts. Wow, we are getting out there on so many other podcast platforms, and also those of you who are contacting the show because it's reaching out to different audiences. Thank you for contacting me and providing sometimes a match for our show to your other platforms. So again, we're reaching out to different platforms, but we also have our niche audience. And the reason why this niche audience is primarily focused for college students, Gen Z, millennials that are finally having the opportunity to slow down and address these issues. And it's targeted for that type of audience because this is the type of students who I teach on a regular basis for the past 40-some years. And this is a topic that still gets neglected in 2022 of talking about race and ethnicity. And that's the reason why I enjoy doing these podcasts. And I completely enjoy teaching my class race and ethnic relations. So again, but this is a topic that is really something, I know I'm saying really a lot, but it's a topic that for the life of me gets neglected in the mainstream narrative. So again, let me just say that for those of you, please send a like, send a comment, send a question to my email, ejb678@gmail.com. That's ejb678@gmail.com. We are persevering through this. First is the 2nd of October. September, I was scheduled to do a podcast during September, but so many things happened in the month of September. So again, I apologize not providing a new show during September, but September was a very trying month, and we got through it. And again, I just want to make sure we continue this dialogue because I'm committed to it. From the 4-year anniversary of my book, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, Understanding Empowerment and Solutions for College Students. Thank you, ABC Cleo. So with that said, I'm going to set things up about expressing your ethnicity. First, let me just provide you the definition and some examples of defining ethnic groups. And it's so important because this is something that is starting to come up in my class on a regular basis. And our last show was on rapidly changing racial and ethnic diversity of our student population, and then celebrating the 4 years of our Race and Ethnic Relations book, but really the changing diversity. Yeah, with the change means increased diversity of our U.S. populations from 2010 to 2020 means there are many more people who look different than each and every one of you, but many more people expressing their ethnicity. So before we really answer this question, I always feel like it's important to provide the foundation. So I'm going to read portions of my book on ethnic groups. And this is what I tend to do. Provide a foundation, provide clear definitions, provide clear examples, and then we can dig deeper into the topic of, do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the United States or elsewhere in the world? So here's the definition of ethnic groups. Ethnic groups are defined as, quote, those that share a sense of cultural and historical uniqueness, and to act as a member of an ethnic group is to express feelings or call attention to their uniqueness. There is a degree of conformity and commonality between all who share this social and cultural heritage. It is expressed in a variety of ways. For example, through physical appearance, kinship organization, food traditions, long-standing rituals, health beliefs, religious belief systems, and language. In other words, within each racial population, there are a wide variety and a number of ethnic groups which distinguish themselves physically, religiously, in language, clothing, and food traditions. Excuse me. For example, let's identify some ethnic groups within each racial population here in the United States. The major racial populations include, again, just the major racial populations according to our federal government, include American Indian or Alaska Natives, Asian, Black or African Americans, Hispanic or Latino, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and white or Caucasian or Euro-American. Now, by reviewing all these various ethnic groups affiliated with the major racial populations in the United States, it becomes apparent that all of us have a very rich and diverse ethnic history. Whether each individual is aware of his or her ethnic connection or history or not today, each of us has our generations of family members who fought for their uniqueness and freedom at some point in time. It is this ethnic history and uniqueness affiliated with each racial group in the United States that makes our country so unique. So, for example, in my book, I highlight American, going through the different racial populations, American and Alaskan Native, and highlight the various ethnic groups within the American Indian and Alaskan Native population. For example, Alaskan Athabascans, Aleut, Apache, Blackfeet, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Chippewa, Choctaw, Comanche, Cree, Creek, Colville, Crow, Delaware, Eskimo, and the list goes on and on. Lumbee, Navajo, Ottawa, Pima. Again, it goes on and on. Yakima, Yuma. Again, Pueblo, Seminole, Sioux. Again, more ethnic groups within the American or Alaskan Native population. For Asian, for example, some ethnic groups such as Chinese, Filipino, Hmong, Indian, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese are considered ethnic groups within the Asian American population. Black or African American, African, for example, Nigerian, Ethiopian, Afro-Latin American, Black Hispanic, Caribbean, Haitian. Again, examples of those who are in the Black or African American ethnic groups. Hispanic or Latino, we're looking at within Central America, Costa Rican, Guatemalan, Honduran, Nicaraguan, Panamanian, Salvadoran, or other Central American. Also speaking about ethnic groups outside of Central America, Cuban, Dominican Republic, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South American ethnic groups such as Colombian, Ecuadorian, Venezuelan, Peruvian, and so forth. And then there's Spanish. Among Native Americans or other Pacific Islanders, such ethnic groups as Guamanians, Hawaiians, Chamorros, Samoans, or others. For white Caucasian or Euro-American, ethnic groups such as Albanian, Armenian, Austrian, Belgian, British, Croatia, Czech, Danish, Dutch, English, Irish, Italian, Latavia, Scottish, Norwegian, Polish, Swiss, Turkish, Scandinavian, Serbian, and the list goes on. So I'm providing those examples of ethnic groups in the United States affiliated with the major racial populations in the United States, the various ethnic groups. And that is a proud heritage and uniqueness within each group. Talking about the uniqueness physically, religiously, in language, clothing, and food traditions. So think about it. Every ethnic group has its uniqueness, has its way of expressing itself. Each and every day. But here's the question that, I kind of kept thinking about again and again and again. In our country and elsewhere, with such increased diversity in the United States, and people celebrating, and particularly my students, celebrating the diversity on campus and elsewhere, but particularly on campus. Just think about your own campus at your university, wherever you may be, the increased diversity. Yet take it the next step. And here is the next step. Do individuals within our identified racial populations and connect with their ethnicity, do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity? Whether it's through your hairstyle, whether through your dress, whether through your religious beliefs, your rituals, your food traditions, on a daily basis. Not every now and then. Yeah, there's always special days set aside in our country to acknowledge this group or that group in our country. But I'm talking about on a daily basis. When you're with your friends, when you're with your dorm mates on campus, your colleagues. Do you feel comfortable? First of all, knowing your ethnicity. And that's a big step too. Because a lot of folks don't know their ethnicity. But if you spend time with your family, obviously you may know your history through a family reunion meeting or whatever. That's when you start knowing your history. I'm talking specifically at the college students, right? Knowing your history, knowing your ethnicity. Yeah, it's another thing. You know it when you're with your family, your mom and dad, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your extended family, your cousins. But it's another thing. Here we go. It's another thing when you're at college, at your university, and on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 7 days a week, do you feel comfortable expressing, showing to others, your ethnicity? That is a big question. And that is sometimes a big challenge for some college students, for a lot of college students, for a lot of Gen Zers, for a lot of millennials. And for many of us who are not in those age categories, for example, for myself, I'll use myself. For example, I'm a baby boomer. On the end portion of the baby boomer generation. I'm 64 years of age. When I was a college, when I was a college, I don't want to say all this and say it was different. But when I was a college student, it was a different time period, 70s. Not everyone expressed their ethnicity as a Afro-American at that time, but I felt compelled to do it. And I expressed my ethnicity by wearing my hair, my afro out real as large as it could be. Because the larger and bigger you made your afro, the more, as a African American male, you connected with your ethnicity. And then the clothes that I wore were very kind of more expressive to Afro-Americans, African heritage, with the colors, the design, and everything. So it was just not my hair, it was my clothing, it was my language as well, my dialect, my language, and connecting with certain terms that I use that many Afro-Americans, African Americans used during the 70s to connect with each other, as opposed to our white colleagues. So there was a way of connecting, always maintaining your connection. Because I went to a predominantly white institution, and I loved it. But there was a way of still expressing my ethnicity within that predominantly white institution. So I'm asking the question now in 2022, with such increased diversity, do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the U.S. or elsewhere? And I posed this question to my college students, and I got a wide array of responses. And I'm not going to, again, share their comments on my podcast, but I got a wide array of comments. So that's the reason why I think it's, particularly with my podcast show here, I really want to find out what's the impression across the world, not just in the U.S., here in the, let me just say, in the southeast portion of the United States, but also in the U.S. and overall, and also as well as globally in other countries. Are you able? Do you feel comfortable? It's not, no, that's not the question. It's not, are you able? Of course you're able to. But do you feel comfortable? That is the critical difference. Do you feel comfortable when you leave your dorm room or your residence, that you decided, I'm going to wear my hair a certain way, I'm going to wear certain clothes a certain way, I'm going to use my dialect a certain way? Whether you're part of the country, many times everyone has different dialects. Or I'm going to eat my traditional foods or not. And some folks just don't feel comfortable doing it in a mainstream world. They change, they modify, they acculturate, they accommodate others. Here we go. Many times, I'm getting there. You know I'm going there. Many times, persons of color, accommodate others. I mean others who are non-persons of color, accommodate others by not expressing their full ethnicity on a regular basis. And the reason why is that they don't want the non-persons of color to feel uncomfortable. Wow. And I've expressed this. I share the sentiment at times. at times. But at some point in time, I said to myself, I'm speaking about myself, why am I accommodating others? Hello. Why am I accommodating others and not expressing my full ethnicity like I would back at home? Back when I say back at home, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from the rural Midwest. They're not rural, but it's in my country. With a very proud African American heritage. Yeah, I'm from the Valley of Wilberforce. I'm from very proud being from the Valley of Wilberforce. And yeah, there's a way to express your history and your connection to your folks, your home folks. And I'm very proud of that. And I still do it today, like I said, at the age of 64. Express it. Excuse me. I'm still trying to get through my little cold here. Sinus problems, that is, sinus. And I show it today. But I've noticed among my college students, it's a bit sometimes more of a challenge for them because they want their non-persons of color to feel comfortable around them. They want to have more common. Now I can understand that. You want to get together and have something in common. And many times, this is what my students tell me, when they start to express their ethnicity, that moves them away from their commonality with their friend. So many times they do not over-express their ethnicity. They downplay it. Or, they only express it around their close family members. But they don't express it among their colleagues at the university. Such as, have a lot of students who speak multiple languages. But their native, excuse me, their native language is really a different language. It was Spanish, it could be Korean, it could be Vietnamese. I have a number of students, just their native tongue is a different language. But when they are amongst their friends at the university, they do not express it at all. And that is interesting to me. So there is a degree of when individuals decide to express their ethnicity, their food traditions, their physical appearance, their health beliefs, their religious beliefs, or their language, or they do not. Or they do not. Why is that? I would think, I would think with such increased diversity, it should be okay. It should be a very proud moment for all groups. All groups, and I do mean all groups, to express one's ethnic, even amongst the non-persons of color. As I indicated, there's so many ethnic groups among the white, Caucasian, Euro-American population, yet many of my students who fit in this category, they do not express their ethnicity. They do not express their ethnicity. Why is that? They don't feel comfortable expressing their ethnicity. Why is that? That's where we are in the world today in 2022. There is, once you dig deeper, now that's the reason why I'm doing these podcasts. Once you dig deeper, there is pushback there is a level of won't go that far. Well, this show is going that far. This show is just asking that additional question, not stopping at that perceived wall, but asking the critical question, do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the United States or elsewhere? Because guess what? The world is increasing in diversity. We all know it dramatically. With that, do we become more similar? Similar? Or do we celebrate, truly celebrate our diversity like we say we do? Like we get awards to say that we do. I'm not going down that road. Like we get awards. Like we say we do. But when you actually see those who are part of different universities, do we celebrate? Now, this is the fall season, and I'm a big sports fan, college football fan, and you can see from across the country, the great celebration at these football games and events, and the number of folks that are finally going out beyond because of COVID kept us behind closed doors for 2 years, 2.5 years seemed like forever almost. But now people are going out collectively together, but they're rebranding themselves as part of a different universities, college campus, rightly so. But do folks start to go beyond just branding themselves a part of a university? Do they feel comfortable expressing themselves, their ethnicity or not? That's my question. And that is I think it's a big, big question to answer. So do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the United States or elsewhere in 2022? Because if you don't, something is it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right if you don't feel comfortable about it. It should, like I said, it should be 7 days a week, morning, noon, and night. But many times, and I'm in that group, sometimes I just want to. Do I have to do it all the time? Or what's the reaction to the others? Oh, why am I thinking about others? That is, oh no. That is, okay, I'm a baby boomer. That's the reason why I'm doing this show. That's something that, as a baby boomer, we didn't think about. And I still don't think about. Why I get this from my students. Why am I so concerned? Why would a student be so concerned about how people perceive them? As a baby boomer, didn't think about that. I was like expressing who I am. So there is a generational difference, obviously. I'm going to throw that out. Yeah, there is a generational difference. I may have a show on that. The generational differences of ethnicity and race and ethnicity. Oh, I'm sure I'm going to have a show on that somewhere soon. But in general, right now, I know. I see it comes up. When I start digging deeper into one issue, another issue comes up. But for right now, regardless of generation, I'm talking about from campus to campus to campus to campus in the U.S. and elsewhere, with our increased diversity, with our celebrations, with our, oh my gosh, with the new midterm elections coming up. Oh, politically. Oh. Yeah, we're going to have to do a show on politics too. Politics and race. There's another show. Politics and race. Politics and race. That's the reason I love doing these shows. But the issue is, this is the wrap up. This is the end. I'm asking. I would like to find out from the audience, from the listening audience, from the podcast platforms, from everyone who is listening to this podcast on your different platforms, on your iPhone, on your smartphone, in your car, wherever you're listening at. The question is, do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the U.S. or elsewhere? Send me an email at ejb678@gmail.com. Please send me an email. I would like to know. This is a critical stage in our life, in my life, in your life too, as a college student, as a millennial, as a Gen Zer. At some point in time, this question has to be answered. You can't sidestep the issue anymore. That's the reason why I needed to do this show. Do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the U.S. or elsewhere? There you go, folks. It always comes up. This is show number 6868. Do you feel comfortable expressing your ethnicity or not in the U.S. or elsewhere? Please email me at ejb678@gmail.com. Thank you for all the podcast platforms. Thank you, Podbean. Thank you, Podbean. Thank you, iHeartRadio. Thank you, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Samsung Podcasts, all Podmatch, and what is it? Audible, Amazon Music. And my voice is getting hoarse because, again, it's been a long September, and now it's October. The fall season is on. It's been my pleasure, and I hope these are times where it's okay to dig deeper into these critical issues that are still getting overlooked in 2022. So stay with me. Please download. Please share. Just share it. Share it with your colleagues. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your grandparents. Share it with the great-grandparents. Share it with your cousins. Share it with whomever. Share it with a new friend who doesn't look like you. There you go. Have a great October. We just getting started. We getting heated up, y'all. It's the fall. We getting heated up. Stay safe, everyone. This is Dr. B. Thank you for your time. Peace out.